We're joined now by the president of the Nigeria Labour Congress, Joe Ajaero. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been a while. We've been trying to get you to come on the show to respond to all of the government's moves to please workers, especially the NLC. First off, I mean, why exactly did the NLC walk out on the federal government, that meeting, before it even started? What exactly is going on with the NLC? And you're insisting on a protest come August 2.
Thank you very much. On your question on why NLC walked out, there was, I think it's more or less the government that stayed away. You know, so I want you to compare walkout and staying away. On Wednesday to be precise, we had a meeting with government, or we were supposed to have a meeting with government. And the NLC came with the TUC fully seated. And the chairman of the steering committee, the chief of staff to the president, was absent. We managed to listen to the secretary of the committee, you know, highly frustrated because the meeting ordinarily should not have started. And based on the manner the meeting went, we said, okay, let us adjourn and meet again on Friday. By 3, we were already at the gate there on the security clearance. And we couldn't finish that till around getting to 6. And we got to the hall. Apart from the secretary and her office staff, nobody from government side was around. And we waited for hours, you know, moving into 6 p.m. We had to go. So I don't know who is saying walk out or whatever. We have been so gentle trying to fix this. And I think we should situate it properly that the government stayed away from this. However, after that time, I got a call from the chief of staff of the president, who is now proposing Monday for the meeting. So that's where we are.
Apparently, you didn't walk out of the meeting. The government, according to you, stayed away. What are your demands in clear terms?
Government boycotted the meeting.
In terms, what are now your demands?
Well, maybe for the purpose of this news, I will still repeat it because every Nigerian is the demand of all Nigerians. You know, it's the demand of, you know, implementing all the things we agreed. The alternative to PMS, the issue of palliatives, mass transit issue, wage award, and whosoever is talking about minimum wage of a governor or whatever is displaying gross ignorance and incompetence because no state governor discusses minimum wage. You know, so on and on. And even for them to come to table for us to discuss, because after all these decisions were taken, none of the committees were inaugurated, no meeting, until we came up with the issue of rally. And the issue of rally is to prove to you Nigerians that even when they said they went to court and said status quo should remain ante, that before even the court could sit, because for 2 times the case was adjourned, the court didn't sit. They went ahead and they did another increase, very contemptuous of even the court proceeding, that 2 parties were having issues and they say status quo remains, you know, until the matter is. They now move further, you know, to 617, 630, while the issue is still not yet resolved. So those are some of the issues. And what we are discussing now, as of today, even the meeting we went, was to discuss the issues arising from the increase, you know, to 520. The issue of 617 is not on the table. And that's the main issue that we are taking this further, that you have breached all our agreement and we are not negotiating in good faith. So on and on and on, you know, and agreements should not be just signed for the fun of it. You know, when agreements are signed, you respect the sanctity of agreement, you know, we implement it. And Nigerians are suffering, and we are crying, and you are talking of how to provide palliatives for 520 increase, and you moved ahead to increase it to 617 and 630 in some places. These are issues, and if they are not clear to any Nigerian, then there's a problem.
Well, the president himself, President Bola Tinubu, actually says the issues are not entirely clear to him. He's asked the NLC to give him more time so that he can, you know, look at your demands and address them accordingly. I mean, he says he's not entirely aware of what the issues exactly are. I'd like to get your reaction to that, and also your reaction to the fact that some states seem to be going ahead with coming up with some kind of palliatives, some in cash, some are giving fertilizers, some are increasing, of course, minimum wage and what have you. How would you react to that? It looks like the states, you know, are taking the lead here.
Well, I wouldn't understand what we are saying about states taking the lead. The issues concerned are national issues, and committees were set up to address them. Now, why are you subverting the committees? On what parameter are the states, you know, taking these decisions? The states that are taking these decisions are very dictatorial. It's a case of giving us, you know, handouts. Take it or leave it. 10,000 naira they are adding to salary. Is it the proportion? Is it the percentage of the increase? Is that the percentage of inflation created as of today? Why will a state will now say, you know, we'll just give you tokenism, mere tokenism. We'll give you 10,000. We'll make it 40,000. Is wage, you know, just a dash? Even if we are going to look at the percentage of it, are we not supposed to meet and sit? So why would the federal government set up a committee with labor on how to address these issues? How did the federal government get to the level of announcing 8,000? The states that are paying 10,000, is it in addition to what we have agreed at the federal government, or the states have gone there to say, give us money to share? Are you sure that the states are not going to give their political their allies the 10,000 or the 5,000? Is there any data, you know, that is consciously agreed on and mutually agreed on, you know, to survive the test of time that is not biased? So why would the states be announcing, you know, across purposes? In as much as they are, you know, saying they want to announce. In fact, most of these states, and I take Imo for instance, you know, have kept almost 15,000 workers without salary for the last 3 years and declared them as ghost workers. Why are they announcing 40,000 when you can't pay 30,000? What type of deceit is that? And the comment you said that Mr. President said we should give him more time. After the first increase, most Nigerians were, you know, not angry, were very angry with us. That why didn't you take action? Why didn't you do this? And we said, okay, we are going to finish this process, you know, to start implementing all the agreements within the next 8 weeks. Within that period, that was the time we gave Mr. President. Nothing happened. Rather than start a process as we agreed, Mr. President went ahead, you know, or not Mr. President, maybe what they call market forces in the Nigerian palace. Market forces now increased. And this market force is so clever that what it increased in Benue, that's what it increased in Lagos, that is what it increased everywhere. Now, if you take market forces from local perspective, you will discover that Gari in Lagos is not the same thing as Gari in Meduguri. It's not the same thing as Gari in Bauchi. It's not the same thing as Gari in Enugu. Based on how they produce Gari in those areas, they sell it. Now, somebody will say 613, 620, and will tell you it's market forces. That is not market forces. Okay. So these are the level of deceit, and you say, give me time. Why I'm giving you time? You are inflicting more injury on me. If we are still talking on 520 up to today, you know, and we are giving time for us to bring up the issues of palliative, the alternative that is detention, it makes more sense. It is beyond Mr. President now, since they have made us to understand that it's market forces. Before now, we were telling the people in the electricity sector and others not to increase. But they have to increase salary. They have to increase wages. They have to increase everything. So before long, everything will go up, because we have not checked the movement of the naira. And I've never seen a country that left the naira, to the vagaries of the so-called market and to be devalued to the extent our naira has been devalued. So these are issues, and when you sort of give us time, and the suffering is increasing.
Okay, good place to butt in. Now, let's get back to the involvement of the state governors, or their intervention, if you like. The FARC federal allocation account, the money accrued to them that was shared in the month of June, was the largest ever to the state governors. Now, what suggestions do you have if they're going to take part of this to cushion the effect of the economic hardship on their citizens and their workers? What suggestions do you have for them?
No, the state governors have not at any time taken seriously to the issue of workers' welfare. Under Buhari, President Buhari came and very passionate and said, "Oh, you state governors that cannot pay, I'm going to release this amount of money for you to go and pay salaries." Majority of them diverted it, and they never paid those salaries up to today. He went in again and released fund again, and it was not done. Now, if there is this crisis we are talking of now, created by so-called removal of subsidy, and it is at the point that Nigerians are suffering, that you increase the money to state government, you increase allowances to the people in the National Assembly, and then you reduce, what is going into the pocket of the workers. Now, what type of economy is that? Are we running a confederal system? Have we devolved powers totally to the states to pay at their own rate? Nigeria as a federation, have had all this policy of having salary and wages, as a benchmark discussed by the federation. Now, after that, the state governments who have the capacity to pay more will now go and pay, but there must be a benchmark. And in between, minimum wage negotiation, if you want to do anything, there will be a wage award that will be discussed. The federal government tried it by early this year by paying some of their employees 40% of their wage to cushion the effect of COVID-19. All of us that were here, in the 70s, knew about the Dodgy Award. Now, that was what was on our table. It was supposed to be an award, a negotiated award, that should be added to the worker's salary. You can't, in between minimum wage, which is a law, now say you are talking of minimum wage. Minimum wage we negotiated is supposed to expire next year. And if it expires next year, we negotiate a new minimum wage. Whatever is coming now should be a negotiated wage award. And I think we should get it from that perspective. Ignorance of any functionary of the state should not derail us.
Right, Mr. Joe Ajaero, President of the Nigeria Labour Congress, thank you so much for joining us on Newsnight tonight.